Hello and welcome to the Patriot Training YouTube channel. My name is Clay Howell. I am the owner and head firearms instructor at Patriot Training. The topic of this video is gun safety rules. Which ones do you use and which ones should you use? Or is there really even a difference? Let's discuss that. When it comes to gun safety rules, most people are familiar with the Cooper 4 rules of safety. Those might well be the most widely practiced. A number of other people may use the safety rules that are enacted by the NRA. And there's a good contingent of people out there who have taken an Appleseed, and Appleseed also has a take on the safety rules. So let's talk about those differences and similarities, and let's see how much they differ and which ones should you use. Let's start with the Cooper 4 rules of safety. Number 1, all guns are always loaded. The purpose of this rule is to make sure that you are always treating the guns as if they are loaded. You do not wish to create two different ways to handle guns, one when you know the gun is empty, one when you know the gun is loaded, because what will happen is you will treat the gun as if it's empty at the worst possible time and somebody could get hurt or worse. Cooper rule number 2, never let the muzzle cover anything you're not willing to destroy. I think the word destroy was used to have the shock value, because if the gun discharges in that direction, it could destroy what it hits. A positive way to say that negative is to always keep the gun pointed in a safe direction. Cooper rule number 3 is to keep your finger off of the trigger until your sights are on target. It's understood that the next part of that sentence should be, and you are ready to fire. Cooper rule number 4 is to identify your target, be aware of it, and what is around it, behind it. Many people will add the words between the muzzle and the target. What's to the left of the target? What's to the right of the target? In the vicinity of. And these are all good additions, and I'm certain that Colonel Cooper would agree. Very good rules. Let's analyze the NRA safety rules. NRA safety rule number 1, always keep the gun pointed in the safe direction. Much like Cooper number 2. NRA safety rule number 2 is to always keep your finger off the trigger until you are ready to shoot. That sounds a lot like Cooper number 3. NRA safety rule number 3 is to always keep guns unloaded until you are ready to shoot. Now this is a rule that triggers many in the Second Amendment community. You'll have people say, so I should keep my carry gun unloaded because it ain't in use. Well, let's think about that for a second. If you are carrying a gun, presumably for personal defense, it stands to reason that although you are not shooting that gun right that minute, that you are prepared to do so should a need arise. So I would argue very vehemently that you are using the gun. You're simply not shooting it. And there's a difference, and the NRA rule says until ready to shoot, yes, but you are using it and preparing to shoot. It's just that your preparation period is a lot longer than it might be if you only take the gun out to shoot at the range casually. I would say the same holds true for a gun that you keep loaded and ready in your house for personal defense. Some people just hear the word NRA and they get triggered, and it's funny because both the left and the right side of the political spectrum get triggered, and I'm not going to come to the NRA's defense, that's for sure. I hate a lot of the stuff they've done. Negotiating our rights away, yeah, not my favorite outfit. However, their training division is different, and I will make the argument that their safety rules are very, very appropriate. The Cooper 4 has a reminder to always treat all guns as if they are loaded. And how do you do that? You keep your finger off the trigger and you keep it pointed in a safe direction. The Cooper 4 also has identify your target. And I think that's a reiteration of keeping your gun pointed in the safe direction. Let's move on to Appleseed rules. And although I'm not directly affiliated with Appleseed anymore, at the time this video was shot, I made sure to check their website and double check their rules. This is the most current and up-to-date as of the shooting of this video. Appleseed rule number 1 is to always keep your muzzle pointed in a safe direction. Sounds familiar. Number 2, do not load until given the load command. Well, that sounds an awful lot like NRA rule number 3. Appleseed rule number 3 is to keep your finger off the trigger until your sights are off target. Well, that lines up with both the Cooper and NRA. And Appleseed rule number 4 is to make sure that those around you follow the safety rules. And I think that's fair. You know, awareness is everybody's responsibility. So I think that's a fair rule. To be very frank, I see more overlap in these 3 sets of rules than I see differences. I think that when you understand what each organization or what each person is trying to tell you, I think clarity is key. And once you understand it, you realize there's way, way, way more similarities than there are differences. At Patriot Training, we add a 5th rule. And it's funny because I always say, well, somebody's going to come out and say, Clay, there ain't 5 rules, there's only 4. Well, see if you agree with me. Every Patriot Training student has agreed with me thus far. And surely somebody will disagree one day, but see if you don't agree with me. Patriot Training rule number 5. If you drop a gun, let it go. Why, you might ask? Well, because why turn 1 trigger finger into 10 possible trigger fingers? That doesn't sound very safe to me. So if you drop a gun, let it go so that you don't accidentally actuate a trigger, catching it and getting the wrong finger stuck inside the trigger guard when you do, while the gun is in Lord knows which position, Lord knows which direction, and could cause some serious damage or bodily injury. So we say if you drop a gun, let it go. I think it is an extension of the trigger finger rule, which all 3 organization sets had. And it's also an extension of pointing, because when it's dropped, that gun is going every which direction and you don't know where it's pointing, and you certainly don't want to put a finger in the trigger at the wrong moment in time. So, in summary, I believe the rule sets agree more than they disagree. What do you think? Leave me an answer in the comments section. Tell me what you think. If you feel I'm wrong, tell me that too. Don't just say I'm wrong. Tell me why you think I'm wrong. Articulate that. Who knows? Maybe even we could collaborate in the future, and you could come on this YouTube channel, and we could have a nice civil discussion about that too. Until then, would like to remind you that you do not have to be a patriot to train, but you do have to train if you want to be a patriot. Take care.